Hey, gorgeous soul, welcome back to my channel. This is your December tarot and oracle card reading for all of the elements of the zodiac. So we are going to go through like we have the last few months, just to let you know what we're doing here if you're new here, and I'll pull an oracle and a tarot card each for each of the elements. So if you're water sign, air sign, fire sign, or earth sign, you can get your messages here. You can of course always watch any of the readings that you feel drawn to. You can check out your sun sign, rising sign, moon sign if you know what they are, or you can just watch the whole thing. I know there's a few people that watch the whole thing and they get lots of guidance from each of the messages. And I always find that when I do these readings, like I never know what's going to come up until it starts coming through. And for me, there's always something that resonates in each of the different sets of reading as well. So that's an option too. So before we start pulling cards, I wanted to just tell you about a couple of things that are happening in New Age Hipster World. That's my business that I run, my spiritual business. I'm super excited because I've just reinvigorated my monthly membership. It used to be called the Library of Light, and there was just one option for $22 US a month. And now I have two tiers, I have two options. So originally this was going to be an offering that was just all my back catalogue of courses and workshops and everything that I've been creating for the last 10 years, which is a really long time, and why I really felt drawn and called to create this offering, because I had just like a plethora of content that was just, sitting around. So I was like, I'm going to put this into a membership and people can access it for, relatively affordable price. So I created that. And then I started to put some more live elements into the membership. We started meeting live for a healing circle every month. And this month we're going to begin having a reading session. So we're going to jump on a Zoom, kind of like this, and you can come on live and you can ask questions and I'll give you a personal reading. We're also going to set some intentions for the new moon and kind of do some of that stuff together as well. So that's two new things. Well, that's a whole bunch of new things really, because I've also added in movie club and book club and a WhatsApp group for everybody who is a part of Light Club. So you can join for $11 for the 2 live calls and replays, and $22 will still get you access to the Library of Light as well as all of that stuff. So I could talk about that all day. The link's below if you want to check it out and find out more. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Okay, so here we are heading into, we're in December. We're about to be in December as I'm recording this. We always have a lot going on in December. It's always like a really big month, spiritually, emotionally, energetically. There's always a lot that happens. Obviously we've got the holidays for those celebrating, those observing. That can be a really challenging time, especially with the political climate and all of the things that are going on in the world. It can also be a difficult time if you are not with loved ones for whatever reason. And also we're in Mercury retrograde. And I just shared this in my newsletter that's about to go out as well. I feel like the best thing that we can do this December, and maybe we'll get some of these messages in the cards as well, but one of the kind of like overall themes and messages of guidance that I've been getting for myself and to pass on to others at the moment is just that it's really important that we're just really kind to ourselves and that we take care of ourselves. Whatever that is, whatever that looks like, whatever that is. This is not a time to be like berating yourself about anything. This is not a time to give yourself a hard time. This is a time to just really try to be kind to yourself and try to be kind to others as well, because like everybody's feeling stuff at this time of year, right? Like this is a time of year that brings up a lot for a lot of other people too. So if you kind of feel like there's people in your life or people that you're meeting out in the world who are responding to you in a way that you don't really appreciate or like. It doesn't mean you have to be okay with that, but, you know, to just kind of, I think it would be good for us all to just kind of step back and say, this has been a pretty hard year for a lot of people, and this can be a really difficult time. And so let's try to just give each other a little bit of grace. And if you're not in a place where you can give anybody grace, then I invite you to just protect your boundaries, stay home, like, you know, avoid people, do whatever you need to do to look after yourself at this time. That's the guidance. That's the big thing coming through. Okay, so now we're going to pull some cards, and we are using the Pulp Girls Tarot. I don't think I've used this one for a little while. I really, really like this deck. I think it's really cute. And we're using the Angels Among Us deck, which is the oracle deck, one of the oracle decks I created with Ellie, Grant, and Rockpool Publishing, which is also a very cute deck that I like a lot. Okay. So we are in Sagittarius season, so we're going to begin with the fire signs this month. So fire signs, this is for you or anybody who resonates with the fire message for this month. Okay, let's see what we've got. Okay, so I just want to check about my reversal situation. I don't usually read with reversals, but Raziel did come up reverse, but I think, let's see what he tells us. So we've got Archangel Raziel, and he is the angel of mysteries, secrets, and protected knowledge. And then we also have Page of Cups. So the first thing that I'm really getting for you fire signs with Raziel being your angel this month, mysteries, secrets, sometimes this shows up to kind of let us know that we may not have all of the information. And this is kind of like what I was saying in the little preamble about, you know, we don't know what other people are necessarily going through. And that's at this time of year, but that's just generally, you know, I've had some interesting things lately where people have made some really big assumptions about me in my life. Based off of, you know, what I choose to share on social media. And I just think it would be great for, you know, for everybody. And we're definitely getting this with Raziel, but for all of us to realize that we don't know everything. We don't know everything. We don't know everything about what's going on with other people. It can be really easy to judge people based on what we see on Instagram, what we see online, how they have, you know, spoken to us, or what they have, you know, the encounters that we've had with them. We can absolutely make some pretty strong assumptions and judgments. And I feel like we all do it, and that's okay because we're human, right? So the best thing we can do when that happens is just notice it and go, oh, okay, this is interesting. I'm in this space where I'm making assumptions about this person or this situation or myself even, you know, and to just notice that and go, okay, why am I doing that? You know, like what's going on here? Like, why do I think this is okay? Or why has my thought process brought me to this? You know, a lot of the time when we make assumptions and judgments about others, it's just really coming from a place of survival. You know, it's very much a part of us, part of the human experience to want to survive and to want to protect ourselves and those closest to us. And we often do that by looking at the unknown, looking at, you know, people or situations and looking for a threat. We're often in that energy of looking for a threat, because when we find the threat, then we can remove the threat, and then we can move on, right? And we can get into a whole conversation here around, you know, trauma and all of these things that kind of, you know, bring us into more of that space where we're constantly in that kind of heightened space looking for threats. And if that's you, I invite you to, you know, do what you need to do. Obviously, there's only so much information we can pass on in a reading like this. Do what you need to do, get the support that you need. But, you know, when we're just having those sort of noticing those moments where we're judging others, it's really important to just notice that and see what we can do to soften the energy around that a little bit. That's the message I'm hearing here, to soften the energy around that. And of course, what happens when we move out of that judgment energy, we try not to judge people so much, then we also, guess what? We stop judging ourselves so harshly. And I feel like your guides have this really beautiful message for you this month around that. You have lately maybe been judging yourself too harshly, too unfairly, blaming yourself for things, taking things on that aren't yours, whether you're doing that consciously or unconsciously. So it may be really useful for you this month to do some real good cleansing, to do some real good auric cleansing, clear your energy, clear your space, let some things go, do some cord cutting. There's information about how to do all of this stuff in the library on my website. Like, you can find all of this information there. But yeah, just to like clear some of that. I feel like you've been potentially been taking on too much of other people's stuff, thoughts and opinions of others, but also like this sort of unconscious, like holding the weight for other people. And that comes from a beautiful place. You know, when we do that, it comes from a beautiful place of, I want to help and I want to lighten this load for this person, and I want to, you know, make things easier for somebody. But when we're in that space, we're just, you know, taking it all on, and we can't do anything with it. I mean, we can work on transmuting it and releasing it and doing all of that stuff, but that can be a really, really big job to do that on behalf of somebody else, especially when we've got all of our own stuff to transmute and clear and release as well. And so it's always better when you're in a situation, when you're with somebody who's going through something really hard or really big, or just a difficult day, or, you know, whatever it is, the temptation, consciously or unconsciously, can be, well, I want to take some of this for you. What we can do instead is we can call on guides, we can call on angels. The angels are great for this. Archangel Raziel, we can call on him. Any angel that you feel called to work with, that you feel drawn to, we can call on the angels and say, can you please assist in this at this time? You know, that can be like our intercession. That can be the work that we do. We can send them love. We can visualize them healed. We can ask their guides, you know, please can you, you know, really send love, you know, from the angels, ascended masters, whatever you feel called to do. Don't take it yourself, you know. Don't be like, oh, well, I'll take that for you and I'll just put it in, you know, my back room. That's not going to help either of you. So then you also have Page of Cups here, and Page of Cups is always about, well, I always feel like Page of Cups is very much about self-expression and expressing yourself in ways that really feel like you're being true to the truth of who you really are. And so this could be so many different things. Often I think of the Page of Cups as like, you know, how you dress and the clothes that you wear. And, you know, I've got this beautiful like dangly mint earrings today that I love, you know, all these things that, you know, I don't know about you, but like I have things in my closet where I never wear those clothes, but I love those clothes, you know. And it's kind of, this is kind of the message here. It's like, if you have clothes in your closet that you really love and they make you feel really good, but you just don't wear them because you feel like, oh, I don't know if that's too flashy or if that's too silly, or is it really me? It's about like finding you from this perspective of like just expressing yourself through clothing, through fashion, through your light, of course, always through your light, but also through the things that you create. You know, if you're feeling called to create something, some writing, some artwork, social media posts, whatever it is, this is actually, it feels like it's going to be really healing for you this month. This is a really good way to actually clear and heal and move through all of the stuff. You know, you feel like you're holding on to somebody's stuff, you can draw it out, you can write it out, you can clear yourself in that way. But for those of you who are feeling a nudge to create like a specific project, work on a specific project, this is a message for like, let's do it. And I'm also hearing like, you know, don't put it off. I feel like I've talked about this before. I'll talk about it forever, probably. I feel like we get to this point in the year and a lot of people just go, oh, well, this year's done. Like, they're not going to be able to do anything else now. Like, it's just as finished. But it's not, you still got a whole month, or, depending on when you watch, you've still got weeks, you've still got days where you could be sitting down working on your passion projects, working on the things that really light you up, working on that novel. That's something I'm doing. Working on that novel, working on the tarot deck that you're creating, working on your knitting, like whatever it is, working on your plans for your business venture or whatever it is that you're creating. Try not to get into that mindset of like, oh, it's December, so I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to wait now till January. Sometimes it's good to, there's a lot of messages right now about like stepping back and just kind of being kind to yourself. But stepping back and being kind to yourself and giving yourself grace doesn't mean that you just do nothing. It doesn't mean that you stop working on the creative projects that are actually lighting you up and making you really happy. If anything, this is like more of a push to be doing that. We need more of that. So yeah, lots of good messages in there. It's quite a lot of different messages kind of coming through. So please, as always, take what resonates. Maybe there was just one message, one small part of this that really resonated for you. Take that, leave the rest, listen to the rest of the messages if you feel called. And I am sending you so much love. See you next time. Earth signs, let us see what is in the cards for you for December. Okay, that one has completely flipped over. Okay, I'm loving this. Okay, Earth signs, your oracle card is Sekhmet, and I absolutely adore her. The messages on the card, the keywords here: fierceness, destruction, and rebuilding. And then your tarot is 10 of Wands. So you're in a really, like, I love when this happens, like the oracle and the tarot just like speak to each other like so clearly. I absolutely love when this happens. Okay, so we have a real feeling here of endings. A real feeling of endings. Yes, we are moving into the end of the year, but there are other things for you that you have been maybe carrying, maybe holding on to. And there's some similarities here actually a little bit energetically with the message for the fire signs too, if you feel called to go and listen to that. It's time to put some things down. It's a time to release some burdens. It's time to recognize and acknowledge just how much you've been doing, just how much you've done this year. I think, sometimes we kind of look back on the year and we have this temptation to go like, oh, well, what do I even have to show for it? Like, what have I even done this year? Like, I've done nothing, like, I know I find myself in that energy, and then somebody else has to say, well, you've written 2 books and you've done this and you've done that. And it's like, okay, maybe I did something. But it can sometimes just feel like, we don't give ourselves credit for all of the things that we do. And it doesn't mean you have to have written a book, or you have to have like, got a promotion at work, or done anything like really big or huge or, like Insta-worthy. But one of the most important things, like even more important than all of the outward stuff, right, is like the inner work that you've done. And I feel like your guides just want to take a moment to just say to you that they see what you're doing. They see the inner work that you've been doing. They see all of those moments from this year where you have had a choice to make between love and fear, or, compassion and kindness, or, not between choosing something that's like the kind choice that's a little bit inconvenient, or like, the choice of like convenience that actually, no one would really notice if you chose that, but you chose something to help somebody in that moment instead. All of those things that we do, that we don't always recognize or see as like as a big deal, right? Your guides are like, they see it. They see every single moment. They see every single choice, and they want you to see, at least here in this moment, that you are making beautiful progress on your path. You are making beautiful progress on your path. That's the phrase that they're giving me here. You're making beautiful progress on your path. But now it is time to let go of what's no longer serving, so that you can move into your next chapter. This is a huge, feels like there's going to be like a really big shift for you moving out of 24 into 25. Like there's a lot that is not going to be coming with you into the next year. A lot of old energy, a lot of old karma, a lot of old junk, old mindset stuff. It's just like, it's really, really ready to go. It's so ready to go. It's so ready to be released. And that's really, really exciting. And you might want to do like a ritual for yourself in some way. You might want to have like a burning ritual. That could be like a really beautiful thing to do. Just like write down, I love doing this. I just write down all of the things that I'm just like done with, you know, like my own bullshit, like, you know, specific aspects of my own bullshit, and like, you know, certain mindsets that I know I've been in that are just not serving me. Like, you know, all these things that just, I don't want to take with me into the next chapter. And I write them all down, and then I just burn it in a, you know, in a candle outside in the backyard if it's not too hot here. But yeah, like doing some kind of ritual to release the old could be really, really useful for you, because I really feel like with that 10 of Wands, like you're definitely moving into a new chapter soon. But before you can move into the new chapter, you have to let go. You know, like you can't go into the new chapter carrying all this old stuff. Like it's just got no place in the new chapter. But if you refuse to let go of the stuff, then you can't move into the next chapter, you know, because there's no space. There's not going to be any space. It's like, what do you think you're going to do? Like carry your 10 wands into the new chapter, and then it's like, oh, well, here's your Ace of Wands, here's your Two of Wands, and it's like, it's just going to get out of control, you know, like it's not going to be the beautiful new start that you need, because you're just already so bogged down. So this is all about making space. I'm also hearing for you, and this all goes along with Sekhmet so beautifully as well, but I'm also hearing for you to clear out the physical clutter. You don't need to clear out your whole house, although if you feel called to, that could be really good. That could be like a really, really good thing to do. I'm not an earth sign, but I'm hearing that. I do have like 3 planets in Virgo, so that's probably it's for me too. So yeah, a lot of clearing out, a lot of just like, what do you just not want to take with you into 2025? What do you just like, I don't want to take this. I don't want to have this. I don't want to take this pattern that keeps like coming up in my life. You know, like a lot of the time we're just in these cycles and we keep repeating these patterns, and it just kind of goes over and over and over until we, you know, finally get to a point where we're just like, I'm done with this. And so all of those things, you're just like, I'm done with this. We burn them in ritual and we let them go and we make space. So Sekhmet's here to support you on this journey. She's all about destruction and rebuilding. It's very much like a tower moment. You know, I'm curious to see if the tower's on the bottom of the deck. It's not. But, you know, it's like we could have pulled the tower and that would have fit in perfectly too with this energy, because it's like I always see the tower as like, well, you've got to knock down the old building that is like rickety and dangerous and like not serving anybody. Like, you know, you can't even go upstairs in your tower because it's so badly made at this point, or it's so run down, or it's just, you know, it's not safe. So of course it has to come down. You know, of course it has to come down. If we start to see the tower as this old structure, like this old structure that we've created at some point through all the bricks of our mindset, our thoughts, our actions, and we're like, okay, well, that served me to a point, but now I can't go in there anymore. So I got to knock it down and I've got to rebuild. So this is a big, big message from Sekhmet. What do you want to rebuild? What does rebuilding look like? What are you rebuilding? Relationships, friendships, maybe you're physically building a house, building a business, just building a better life for yourself. I feel like there's a lot coming through here about the power of manifestation as well. And if you've been struggling to manifest lately, the key is you got to let go of some stuff. You got to let go of some stuff to make space so that you can start to manifest more easily again. I always think of this analogy. I always talk about this. I think I talked about it in my book, Manifest Your Dreams, where it's like you got a full closet of clothes, right? And then you go out and you buy some new clothes and you come home and there's nowhere to put them. You know, like, oh, okay, like, what am I going to do? I've got nowhere to put this. And so what we need to do is we need to clear out the closet, and we need to always make sure we have space in there so that when we do find those beautiful new pieces, when we're out thrifting, we can easily incorporate them into, you know, our closet, and we actually will see them in there and we'll wear them and we'll use them and it'll be amazing. And that's basically how manifestation works. We can't manifest new things when our house is full of junk, right? Like, the universe isn't going to be like, oh, well, Vix definitely needs, like, you know, 20 new, like, vintage cardigans when she's got a closet full of them. You know, like, we're not going to deliver that. There's no space for it. So making space feels really, really important. Making space for your manifestations is really probably one of the biggest messages for you for this month. Okay, Earth signs, I really hope that resonated. If you have any questions, you want to chat about anything, please comment down below, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Sending you lots and lots of love. Beloved air signs. So you may know that I am an air sign, so this is from me as well, although I have definitely really resonated with a lot of the messages in the earth and the fire sign readings as well. So you may too, if you feel called to check those out. Okay, this is kind of perfect for us. Oh, this is like more than perfect for us air signs. This is like the most perfect reading that's ever happened for air signs. Okay, so we've got Page of Swords. I love this. This is like an air card. And then we also have Saint Dymphna, mental health, well-being and support. So air signs, this month is all about us looking after our mental health. And I mentioned that at the very beginning of this video, if you watched that little intro. But I really have been getting that message so much for myself, and I've also been getting it for clients, and it's also coming up here again really, really strongly. And so this is kind of the main event of December, especially for air signs. I'm hearing it's for everybody, but it's especially for air signs because we are more susceptible to other people's ideas and opinions than, you know, any other sign. Everybody's susceptible to it, but we're like, you know, our crown chakras are just like wide open a lot of the time, and we're just like, you know, we're so excited and we're ideas and thoughts, and we have our own, and then we are interested in everybody else's, and it's just like, it's so fun, but it can also be like a lot. So looking after your mental health, this is the most important thing that you can do this month to take care of yourself. And don't just go, oh yeah, okay, I'll look after myself, sure. Really think about, you might even want to pause the video for a second and really think about, what does that actually mean? Because we use these phrases all the time in spirituality and self-help and personal development. We're constantly talking about look after yourself and self-care and like all this stuff. But like, what is that? Like, how do we know if we're doing self-care? How do we know if we're looking after ourselves? The answer to that is that it's working. you know you're looking after yourself if you feel better. And if you feel you don't feel better, you don't feel good, you're having anxiety, you're having a lot of like, you know, just not feeling good in your body, not feeling good in your mind, struggling with mental health stuff. If you're not feeling good, then what you're doing is probably not working. And that doesn't mean that, you know, it's going to work all the time. Like I've had like an interesting week where just some stuff has been happening that's making me feel a little bit ungrounded, like, you know, change. This does it to all of us. And I've been feeling a little out of sorts. And the thing though that was really cool about that was that, you know, I immediately recognized what was going on, and I didn't give myself grief for it. I didn't tell myself that I shouldn't be feeling like that. You know, that's one of the most empowering things we can do when we're feeling like in a weird place, you know, mentally, emotionally, whatever. One of the best things we can do is just like acknowledge it and just go, okay, this is what's happening right now. This is just what's happening. Instead of, I should be feeling differently, or I should be doing something differently. You know, like one of my things is, oh, why am I feeling like this? I did all my spiritual practice this morning. You know, I'm doing all my spiritual practices. Like this shouldn't be happening. But it's still, you know, we're still human, and it still happens sometimes. And sometimes you can go, okay, well, you know, what am I doing in my spiritual practice? Maybe I need to do something differently. Maybe I need to do, you know, breath work for me has been amazing this year. The 365 days of breath work that we've been doing together in Club Prana has been amazing for me. It's shifted so much, and it's helped me to really like be more in my body. I've definitely felt less anxious this year than I have previously. But that doesn't mean it's gonna, like, you know, you're never gonna worry about anything ever again, right? Breath work is amazing, especially for air signs. If you're an air sign, you should be doing some kind of breath work, whether it's just deep breathing in meditation, or whether you go full on into the Kundalini yoga, pranayams, or, you know, other types of yoga, or just whatever you find. But breath work can work wonders for air signs. It's like our personal magic juice, working with breath work. So I highly recommend that if that's something that you feel could support you. And of course, we also have to mention here that with, you know, Saint Dymphna coming up and talking about mental health, I can only really speak in this space to, like, you know, general sort of feeling a little bit anxious kind of stuff. If more stuff is coming up, then you can handle through spiritual practice and breath work and looking after yourself, then please seek the support that you need, because this is, you know, this Saint Dymphna card can often come up when it's time to seek support. Whatever that means to you, you know, that can be so many different things. It can be like a classical sort of therapy, or it can be that you seek out support from friends, other people who've been through what you're going through, whatever support it is that you need to seek that support. So yeah, this is really important time just to look after yourself, be really kind to yourself. Don't feel like anything has to be different than how it is. You know, you might want it to be different because you'll be like, I don't want to be feeling like this, Vix. I would like it to be different. But, you know, don't blame yourself. Don't go into that place of, like, you know, where we all go sometimes of like, I shouldn't be feeling like this. You're allowed to feel how you feel. And this can be like a really, really tough time for people this time of the year. And I don't think we always recognize that enough. I think we're getting better at recognizing that. But, you know, I've seen like a few people I know who are speaking about how, you know, this year they've lost a loved one or a cherished pet, or like, you know, life is different now and it just doesn't feel that Christmassy, and, you know, people aren't celebrating and all these different things. And then you're like bombarded with all of these messages and Hallmark Christmas movies that are like, this is like the magical time of the year and everything should be happy and bright and, you know, all that stuff. And it's okay not to feel like that. It's okay to just feel however you feel at this time. So one thing I really like to do around this time, this could be useful for you as well, is to focus more on the solstice, to focus more on the actual solstice and the turning of the wheel of the year, rather than, you know, the Christmas celebration or whatever it is that, you know, you celebrate where you live, like, you know, collectively, culturally, to think about the solstice as, you know, the solstice is a portal. The solstice is a portal between one season and the next, and one way of being and the next. And this can be like I talk about with all the portal opportunities that we have to release, you know, what do you want to release? What do you want to let go? Do your whole releasing ritual. What's not coming with you into the next season, into the next cycle, and see it as this beautiful portal that you can step through. See it as a spiritual experience rather than a commercial one. You know, that can, I feel like that could be really grounding for us and really helpful for us to put our focus there, because that's originally what this time of year was all about. Right, it was just a solstice festival of like honoring the sun and being grateful for the sun coming out again, you know, the sun coming back. So that could be really useful. I haven't even spoken to the Page of Swords. Page of Swords, cleansing and clearing. We're getting this message for so many of, we had this message for I think it was the earth signs really got this cleansing and clearing message as well. I feel like we're getting it as well, but for air signs, all of the cleansing and clearing we need to do is mental. It's like, what are the mindset? What are the thoughts? What are the stories that you're telling yourself that are not serving you? And work on releasing those. One way that I really like to work with releasing the stories that no longer serve, for me, it's really useful to replace them with something else. Sometimes like it doesn't work so well for me to just go, oh, well, I'm releasing that and I'm releasing this and I'm releasing this other thing. Because if I don't replace them with something else, like, energetically when I'm doing healing, like all this stuff, if I don't replace it with something else, then it just comes back to fill the void. So making sure that you're like, okay, I've got this negative mindset, something that I've been carrying around, this thought or idea that I've been carrying around like all year or last few months or whatever, that, I'm not good enough. That's what I just throw that one out there because that's one everybody has at some point. I'm not good enough. Not good enough for what? That can be, up to you to decide. But usually when we have that mindset, I'm not good enough, it's usually that's usually not a true thing. That's not usually true. That's usually coming from someone told you that sometimes, and you just took it on, right? Or you looked at what everybody else is doing and you're like, oh, everyone's better than me at this thing. What you can do instead is replace that. You can replace it with, I am good enough, and start affirming that to yourself like daily. Or you can think about, why do I think I'm not good enough? Do I need to learn something? Do I need to get better at something? Do I need to, develop my skills? Like what is it that I think, why do I think I'm not good enough? And then you can actively start to change that if you feel like, there is something there for you to get better at. Maybe you have something like, one of my things when I started my business was like, oh, I'm not good enough at tarot to do this as a job. And then I was like, well, maybe I could get better, like maybe I could be one day. So you can replace that thought of I'm not good enough with like, I'm going to become good. I'm going to get better. I'm working on this because I'd love to really develop this skill. It's a huge difference between I'm not good enough and I'm working on getting better at this skill. That's a totally different kind of story that we're telling ourselves, right? So that's just like one example. There's so many different ways that these stories we tell ourselves can be infiltrating our thoughts. Think about what they are. What stories are you telling yourself that are keeping you stuck? Rewrite those stories and rewrite them in your aura, rewrite them in your mind, affirm them, write it down, stick it next to your computer. I have all sorts of weird stuff written near my computer and on my altar. Don't be afraid to do that. It does work. I hope that serves and supports you. Look after yourself. That's the main thing. Look after yourself this month. I'm sending you so much love and looking forward to seeing you next time. Lots of love. Water signs, let's see what your cards are. Okay, water signs. We had a couple fly off the table. I often think that if it's just one that flies off, I would definitely pick that one up and read it, but we had a couple there, which I think is more about my poor shuffling technique. Okay, so water signs, or anyone who is feeling called to the water message today. This is interesting. We've got Five of Swords. We've got some water in the background here for the Five of Swords. And we've also got Horus, clear seeing, intention, and perspective. I love Horus. He's just, I'm glad he's here. He's one of those deities where it's just like, oh, I'm glad he's here, I mean, I feel that about all of them, but it's just like, oh, thanks, Horus. Thanks for coming in and being with us in this moment. Okay, so let's talk about the Five of Swords. Five of Swords can be like a little bit of a tricky one. We've got like, it's a really interesting image. We've got this one person at the foreground of this card, and she's got some swords in her hand. We've got somebody in the middle. It's kind of like indifferent to the situation. And then there's somebody else by the water who's crying their eyes out about the situation. So I always think whenever I pull this card over, I always kind of go, oh, which one am I right now? Which one am I? Am I the one who has somehow managed to take everybody else's swords? Have I taken something from somebody else? Have I made somebody else have a difficult experience? Have I been the cause of some harm? That's a good question to ask ourselves when we pull this card. And, that can be really not something that we want to, not something that we want to at all consider, that we could be the cause of somebody else's harm. Most of us on this spiritual path are trying very hard not to be the cause of anybody else's harm, but it does happen. It does happen. And it usually happens to people like you and me. We usually cause harm by not meaning to at all, like there's no intention there to cause harm, but it can still occur. It can still happen through us not fully thinking about something, through us not having the information, we caused some harm to somebody because we said something, but we didn't know that they had like a previous difficulty with that, or, all these kinds of things. So there is a question here to just ask yourself, is there a place where you're causing harm to others in any way at all? And you can think about that for yourself. I also feel like there's a question here of, are you being kind to yourself? And this has come up for every single set of readings today. There's been some message around being kind to yourself. Where are you not being kind to yourself? Where are you causing any kind of harm to yourself, And obviously if you are in a situation where you're causing harm to yourself, that's something that we don't have the space and ability to really talk about in this reading, and you need more support with that, then please seek support. I feel like I've had to say that nearly every single message here. I think that's a sign that a lot of us are finding life difficult right now. There's a lot going on. This time of year can be tough. The political climate is tough. Times are tough, financially for people. There's all sorts of things going on. And even if you personally are feeling okay, I'm sure you have people in your life who are not doing so well, And I think just it's really important for us to acknowledge that, especially, as water signs, and I'm water moon and water rising. So I like to sort of put myself in this watery category as well. It can be a lot, when you have a lot of water within you, to be dealing with all the stuff that's going on right now. It can be a lot. So looking at the places where you need to be so kind to yourself right now. Be kind to yourself and be kind to others. I feel like I'm such a broken record in this reading today, but it just keeps coming through. That's what the guides they're just like, Vix, you don't even need to say anything else. Just tell everyone, be kind to themselves and try to be kind to others as much as we can this season. It's really important that we do that. So yeah, so we have that person there who's taken the swords. We've got the person in the middle who's indifferent. And that's something to consider too. Like, where are you indifferent? Or where do you need to be more indifferent? Where do you need to, where are you feeling called to help and support and make a positive difference for others and for yourself? And where are you being called to just say, that's not my purpose, that's not my path, that's not my thing to heal? And I think that's going to be maybe a difficult message for some water signs to hear. Like, where do you need to look at, maybe you're spending time with family or people in your life at this time of year, and you feel the pull to be like, oh, I want to really help that person, or I want to, do something to support them. But sometimes we do just have to say, that's not mine to heal. And there's somebody watching this, maybe it's more than one person, but I feel like there's somebody watching this who really needs that message. Not everything is ours to heal. And that can be hard to hear when we're spiritual people and we're emotional water signs. and, you know, we're healers, you know, if you're a water sign, you're a healer in some capacity, it can be difficult to just let people do their own healing. You know, like to not even try to like do anything for them. We can always send love. We can always send love. We can just say, I really send love and wish people well. Wishing people well is like such a healing. It's such a beautiful healing thing to do, to just wish people well. And you see someone who's suffering and you see someone who's struggling, and you personally cannot intervene for whatever reason. You can't go over there and just, you know, save them from the situation. And sorry, I'm having a hair situation here. You can't save them from that situation. You can send them love and you can wish them well. You can just say, I hope that person finds happiness. I hope that person finds peace. May that person find happiness. May that person find peace. May that person find love. And you set that, you know, you set that intention. We've got Horus here, intention. You know, we can set these intentions. I also feel like Horus is coming through. Horus is such a beautiful healing energy. I feel like he's coming through as well to just say, when you see someone who's suffering or struggling, you can call on me, or you can call on the angels or divine beings of any type that you resonate with, and you can ask them to intercede. This message is coming up all the time in this reading today. You can ask them to intercede. You can ask them to help the situation, and then you know that you've done something to help, and then you can go about your, you know, focus on your purpose, focus on your path. I think a lot of us getting really a lot of spiritual people getting really bogged down in this idea that, like, you know, we have to help everybody, we have to save the world, like, and we do. But we can do that through, when we see suffering, we call on divine beings and we say, please help these people. And then we say, may they find peace, may they find happiness. And we just do that all the time with everybody. And we put that in our spiritual daily practice. I say that every time I sit at the altar to meditate. I always end it with, may all beings be, may all beings know peace, may all beings know love, may all beings be happy and well. And then I do Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu as well, which you can Google, but essentially it's the same sort of thing. It's like, may all beings be happy, well and free, and may I live my life in a way that, you know, causes harm to none. And that's our intention. And then from there, you know, we can focus on what we're really here to do. There's a big message coming through actually right now that a lot of light workers, or, you know, maybe you don't like that phrase, but that's the phrase they're giving me. A lot of light workers, people who are here to be a part of this shift on the planet, people who are here to be shiny, to be bright, to anchor light, to help, to serve, support, to shift the vibration, all these things that we're all here to do in different ways. We're not doing it in the way that we're supposed to be doing because we're getting really bogged down. We're getting really stuck in this belief of like, we have to do it this way, you know, like we all have to be healers, or we all have to be, you know, we all have to be like Reiki healers, we all have to be tarot readers, we all have to be, you know, whatever it is that we think we're supposed to be doing. And the guides are like, no, what you need to do, you're giving me this again, but this came through for me yesterday really clearly too. What we're supposed to be doing is whatever's on our hearts to do. That's our purpose. That's what we're supposed to be doing. That's how we're supposed to be doing our service work and our light work. We do whatever is on our hearts to do. So when you get called, when you see suffering in the world and you're like, I'm going to go there and I'm going to help those people, I'm going to do something about it, then that's your calling. And then you go and you do that. When you see, you know, suffering in your friendship group, you see people who are really struggling. If you feel in your heart, I got to be there for that person and I got to help them and support them through this, then that's what you're supposed to do. But if you see someone like, you know, someone close to you, maybe who's dealing with a lot of their own stuff, and you're just like, I don't think I'm the person I don't think I'm qualified to do that. I don't think, you know, I need to actually keep myself at a distance from that person to keep myself safe, but I really want them to be well. And then you wish them well. You wish them well, and you do what you can, and then you step back and you go, okay, what's my heart calling me to do? What's my heart calling me to do? That's a really important message for For the water signs, what's your heart calling you to do? That's your purpose. That's your path. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Try not to get bogged down in this idea that you're supposed to be doing a million other things. You just come back to your heart, your higher heart. Here, it's right, the higher heart, showing me that like really clearly. Keep coming back to the higher heart and just going, what do I need to do? And so when you see things happening in the world, you see suffering, you see these things, and you don't know what to do, and your energy is, I feel like there's a lot of light workers, our energy is very scattered because we want to help here, we want to help there, we want to help that, and I saw this thing and this other thing, and it's like, and then it all just gets too much and we don't do anything. Come back here and go, what am I supposed to do? What's my role? How can I help? What am I supposed to do? And then you'll find it, and then you'll find your way. I feel like I want to keep talking to you water signs for like, we could do this reading for the rest of the day. I feel like there'd be so much that would come through. That's the main message, is keep coming back to your higher heart and asking, what can I do? What should I be doing? We didn't even talk about the figure in the Five of Swords down by the river. But I think if that's you, you know what you've been through. You know what you're dealing with. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. That's it. Be kind to yourself. Self-care is everything this month for everybody. So do that. Be kind to yourself. Look after yourself. May you have a beautiful month ahead. And I'm sending you so much love. And I'll see you next time.